Alright, boys and girls, this is lesson 1.5, estimation strategies. Please make sure you get that written down in your notebook, as well as today's date. When you have that done, you may unpause and keep going. Okay, so we're talking today about estimating. Let's start with just getting our brains warmed up. So here's your math message. Finding the number of books. The teachers at Forest View School held a reading contest. All students would receive a free book if they read a combined total of 20,000 books by the end of the year. You can see the chart there. The first question is, have the students read enough books? And the second question, describe the strategy you used to solve the problem. So go ahead and do that work. Pause the video while you do it, and then pick it back up when you're ready. So hopefully you have paused and solved. So let's talk about this. Have the students read enough books? I hope that we could all agree that the answer is yes. They definitely have read enough books. Now, we may have come up with different ways of solving that, and that's a-okay. There are several different estimation strategies, and we're going to discuss them today. But one thing I want to make sure you note is we didn't actually have to solve this exact math problem in order to get the answer. That would have been doing more work than was necessary, because we could have used an estimation strategy, which would be quicker for us, easier for our brain to solve, and less likely to make a mistake to get the right answer. So let's go on and talk about what those answers could be, what those estimation strategies are. So in your SRB, your student reference book, remember you can access this online at any time. There is a page 82, which is all about estimation. Here's what it says. Estimation. An estimate is a number that is close to the exact answer. You make estimates every day. You estimate how long it will take you to walk or ride from one place to another. You estimate how much money you can save by the end of the year. You estimate how long it will take you to complete a school assignment or chore at home. Useful estimates are based on reasoning. Estimates can help you make sense of a situation or help you approximate a calculation. There's some examples there that you could read on your own if you'd like. The page goes on to say, sometimes estimates are used to make sense of a situation when the exact number cannot be known. For example, officials estimate the size of a crowd at a large outdoor event, such as a festival or a street fair. It is impossible to know exactly how many people attended the event because people are moving about and come and go at different times. So you can see the nice picture there with the caption saying, organizers expect over 50,000 people at the street fair. So that's what the SRB has to say about estimating. So some notes that I'm taking that I think you should probably write down in your notebook as well. So if we think about the concept of estimation, we should think that there are many different ways, but all of them substitute the precise or exact value with numbers that are easier to work with. That's the goal of estimation. Each method is useful, and you choose the method based on the context of the problem being solved. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So get these notes written down for yourself, and when you have that done, come back and move forward. So when we look at a problem here, I'm going to read you a problem so you can think of the different ways that you might estimate. We're going to talk about two, rounding and close to estimating. So we're going to talk those two things, but here's a problem for you. On Sunday, 463 people were at the lake. On Monday, 226 people were at the lake, and 312 were there on Tuesday. So you can see why I filled out the numbers that I filled out, right? Estimate how many people in all were at the lake. So one way that we've already talked about is rounding. We haven't talked about it in relation to estimating, but we've talked lots about rounding and making sure we know how to do that. So let's round these numbers to the nearest 100. In rounding, you get to pick which place value, right, and round to that. So we're going to round to the nearest 100, pause this while you do it, and then come back, and I hope you'll have done it the same way that I'm going to do it right now. So I'm talking about the hundreds. So the 6 is going to make my decision. Since it's 5 or above, I'm going to go up. So this becomes 500. The 200 is the column I'm talking about. This 2 makes my decision. Since it's a 2, I stay the same. So it's 200. And in this one, I'm talking about the 3. The 1 makes the decision. It's under 5. So the 3 stays the same. The rest become zeros. I can total those together, and I'm going to get 1,000. So that's the rounding method, and it gives us an estimation of 1,000. So another method that we haven't talked about is called the close to estimation method. So here's where we're going to look at the original number, and we're going to try to decide what number that's more of a round number is close to that my brain would be more comfortable working with. So when I look at 463, a number that my brain could probably pretty easily handle would be 450. Probably not as easy as 500, but it's closer to it, and it's still a round number for me. When I look at the 226, I'm going to say 225, because again, that number is easy for my brain. And 312 is going to become 300. Then I can add those up. And say 975. So those would be 2 estimates that I would come up with based on these 2 methods, rounding and the close to estimate. Now we want to know what's the actual answer, so pause this and figure that out for yourself. Come back and double check your work. Okay, so when we look at what the actual answer is compared to our estimates, are our estimates pretty good? Would we feel confident in saying there were about 1,000 people there, or there were about 975 people there? I think we would definitely say that each of those are close enough estimates that we'd be comfortable with that. So let's look at these same exact figures, but I'm going to tell you a different story, and I want you to see if you think those estimates would still be good enough. So here's the story. Rob, Brian, and Ari need at least 950 popsicles for the school picnic. Rob bought 463, Brian bought 226, and Ari bought 312. Do they have enough popsicles? So we would do those same rounding numbers that we had done on the previous screen, and we know then that this really quickly is what we had said. Just rewriting what we had already decided on the page before. Okay, so if those are our estimates, with this kind of a problem, do you think those estimates are close enough? Which one do you think maybe you'd feel more comfortable with if you're having to make sure you would have purchased enough for something like a class picnic, where you certainly wouldn't not want to have enough? Well, I think either one would actually be okay, but I think you might agree with me that the close to estimate, it's a good reason to possibly use that method for that problem, because you want to definitely make sure that you have enough. So those are both quite good methods for estimating, and they serve different purposes. So I want you to now practice this a bit, and you're going to do that by looking at your journal page 11. So journal page 11 says, read the number stories, choose an appropriate estimation strategy. Number 1 is workers in a toy factory make stuffed bears. The goal is to make at least 1,200 bears every 3 hours. In 1 hour, they make 447 bears. In the next hour, they make 453 bears. In the third hour, they make 458 bears. Did they meet the 3-hour goal? How did you get your answer? And why did you choose this estimation strategy? So you're going to solve this. This is in your math journal on page 11. You're going to also solve this one. Stella is saving up to buy a bicycle that costs $250. She has saved $96 so far. Her aunt gave her another $48. About how much more money does Stella need? Fill that in. How did you get your answer? And why did you choose this estimation strategy? So fill those all out in your math journal on page 11. When you have it completed, I want you to check it against the answers that are on the next 2 screens. When you get done with that, you are set. Be ready to talk to me about any of these things that caused you difficulty when we meet for the lesson tomorrow. Good night.